So John, tell me what excites you about what EcoLogix can bring to the marketplace today.
When we got into talking with Stuart about the scenarios, what we decided to do was to go for the financial entities. How can we help these financial investors, these groups of financial investors, make safer investments? How can we go in and basically we're going to do two levels of work as we see it today. The first is we get invited to help an investor say, is this candidate a good candidate to invest in? So we would actually go in and do an on-site operational assessment using full concept. There may be then an opportunity later to help that entity in particular that gets the money from these investors to actually use better wisdom in the way in which they make that money work.
Right.
And how it returns then the kind of gains that are not only in profit, but the gains socially, the gains environmentally, the gains in terms of the employees just being truly excited about working in that entity. And then they're actually an attractor to the best leaders in the world coming into that business as they need. That's really what we're wanting to do. And that really brings great oomph into my own investment of time and energy to make this happen.
Right. So we're talking here about helping financial organizations have a broader spectrum around what they call due diligence. It's
Yes.
not just looking at do the numbers look right,
Right.
but it's also what's actually in place in terms of organizational structure,
Exactly.
management capabilities, and how they're organized to actually accomplish what they're saying they want to accomplish.
And full alignment. How do we get all
Right.
those parts aligned
Right.
so that then there's a wholeness that has integrity to it?
So that's a piece that lets dollars being invested theoretically be more effective than they are being right now.
And with better insurance.
With better insurance and with an understanding of, yes, they're here now, here's where they need to go, and what needs to be put into place.
Yeah.
And then that second piece is actually, oh, now we know what needs to be put in place. So how can we help this group actually develop their people, their processes, their organizational structure in a way that lets them accomplish something and maintain it over time, i.e., to be sustainable?
There are a bunch of myths around what does it take to get a company to be profitable? And then there are even other myths about how does that happen sustainably? And so what we're about is how do you take the existing business processes and the interfaces between those business processes and redesign those so that there's a fullness of capacity that's built to move from one stage of production to the next.
Right.
And especially in the interface with the customers, with suppliers, how do you redesign that entire entity so that over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, that invested party takes the money that they've gained from their investors and actually leverage that in a way that's never been done before in that investment community, and especially for those candidates that have received that money. How can it be a win-win-win across the board for all involved, including the employees?
So the word that's coming up to me that describes that is coherence.
Yes, for sure.
There is a coherence within the organization that's often missing in startups. It's
Yeah.
often missing in
Yeah.
small companies that are really trying to get their entrepreneurial jumpstart.
And frequently missing in larger companies,
Right.
where they just have isolated sales going on,
Right.
and they don't gain the value out of the full business opportunity, the full business potential.
So what you're also bringing in with that is a combination of not just operational development, but also strategic development.
For sure. It is an alignment of the strategic level, what we call the intermediate level of leadership, which is the supervisory, managerial levels, and then the actual work groups. And our preference is to actually move developing maturity of the employees to the point that they can install teams and let the teams be the operational decision makers about the way they use their resources. That is the most efficient way to really use the resources available. When you've got direction being given from parties above and they control the resources that this operating unit locally needs, that's really inefficient. And so how do you invest the leadership development to get those people for the maturity to be able to manage their own bank account, basically? How do you give them responsibility for their own budget control? How do you give them responsibility to hire and fire their own work group members? That's a very sophisticated kind of maturity, and that's what we help our clients do.